Okay, so this is computer-assisted auditing techniques using Excel sana, no? As introduction. So our CAAT is Excel. But unfortunately, in our subject, we will not do some laboratory, no? So CAATs means computer-assisted auditing techniques. Okay, so this is the objective. At the end of the topic, the participant be able to discuss the rationale behind the use of CAATs in audit procedures, describe what is CAAT, illustrate why CAATs is needed in auditing computer-based information system, discuss the effect of using CAATs in audit process, distinguish the different types of CAAT software, and discuss the pros and cons of CAATs. So, it is also discussed in your same SDL. No? May mga pros and cons then for your computer-assisted auditing techniques. So, as an accountant or as an auditor, you must exercise due professional care in conducting the audit. I know you already done with auditing theory. Tama ba? Huh? So, when I say professional due care, so meaning you need to conduct the audit with, of course, you have your reports and you have your working papers dapat kasi professional due care, no? It requires that the auditor must act carefully, thoroughly, and on a timely basis. To exercise due professional care, the Institute of Internal Auditors suggested that the auditor should consider the use of computer-assisted audit tools and other data analysis techniques, especially if you are auditing the information system. No? If they have already their accounting information system, so you must use the CAATs, the computer-assisted audit tools. Because our processing today is evolving, so mayroong mga software, no? And there is also the evolution of internet and sophisticated software. So it produces huge stored data. And it's difficult for you if you are not using CAATs when you are conducting audit on that particular or specific software. So large and small and medium enterprise also, they are using information technology in their data processing. So, may mga computers sila, of course. They have also their networks, online and offline databases. So, they have already their databases. And then the cost of storage declines, including the free online storage. And there is also high volume of data processed daily. So, kailangan siya nga maggamit tayo ng CAATs. This is the typical computer and network system. So we have the inputs, the processing of data, the outputs, and the storage. So inputs from your different system. If you can recall in your previous accounting information system, so we have different inputs from the sales transaction, from the purchase transaction, and even in the GL system. No? And then ipaprocess yan. Processing of data, recording, classifying, summarizing, and consolidating. Of course, there is this one, the data storage, no, your database. And there is also the output, checking the reports and documents. And dapat may feedback tayo. So, if it is manual, ganito din yung manual. Pero we are now in computerized information system. So, the input particularly is on the transactions. And then, si computer na magpa-process and your output from your reports. Okay? So, if you are auditing this one, usually, we just compare. Dito tayo magbe-base the output and the input. The processing itself is on the computer na. So, we just look whether there is correct output. No? We can use CAATs. Pwede tayo maggamit ng CAATs. We perform the data, and then we will look whether the same output yung maggawa nila. So, yun ang usual audit natin. So, typical computer and network system using already the internet. No? May mga kuan na siya. This is typical. So, there is a need of CAAT because auditing information system highly dependent on computers, auditor must also use computer, no, to perform some audit procedures, especially if they are already using the accounting information system. So they are dependent on computers. So tayo din, as an auditor, you will also use computer to perform some audit procedures. So what are those audit procedures normally? The analytical procedures, no, the ratios, analytical procedures, our substantive testing, our mga cut-off. So those are our audit procedures, no? If you will recall in your auditing theory and auditing problem, computation, recalculation. So you will use computer to conduct those audit procedures. And there is high volume of data, maraming data, no? Especially 1 year period tayo. And if you are using CAATs, we can, of course, pwede natin siya magamit the whole sample, no? The whole population. Because of the high sampling risk. So, if high ang sampling risk, so mas maganda if, much better if madaming sample size tayo, no? Or the entire population itself. Pero as part of the audit, we will only look for sample, no? Hindi naman talaga lahat na the entire population. But if may ano na tayo, kaas na tayo, pwede entire population or hide the entire data, we can do it in our CAATs, no? And just to reduce the sampling risk naman. So what is CAATs? So this is any automated audit techniques such as the generalized audit software, or we call it GAS, no? Utility software, test data, application software, tracing and mapping, and audit expert system. So that is CAATs. And one example of our CAATs is using Excel. Diba? Excel is and also part of CAATs. So ito na yung parang kanang not costly, no? Kasi other generalized audit software, very costly siya. So, we will just use Excel. Anyway, all AIS, diba? If you will recall in your QuickBooks and even in your NetSuite, you can download the data. You can convert it to an Excel file, diba? You can convert it to an Excel file. So, from the, pag-download natin from the software itself, malaro na natin on the Excel, we can already conduct audit. We can reperform already there in the Excel. So, ma-automate na siya. So, audit technology tools that facilitate a more granular analysis of data and help to determine the accuracy of the information. So, that is CAAT. And it is also a computer programs and data that the auditor uses as part of the audit procedures to process data of audit significance contained in a client computer-based information. Okay, so we can use that one in your Excel. So CAATs can be used by an auditor, either external or internal. So when you say external, third party, no? You hired an external auditor. Internal for your internal audit as part of their audit procedures to process data of audit significance contained in the entity's information system. So CAAT's effect on audit process. So I know you already that no alam mo na naman natin no what are these audit process no. So it does not affect no effect on general audit plan and the strategy. So same pa rin if it's manual or computerized, so same ang audit plan, the strategy is still the same. Okay? So ano lang, it only automates some audit procedures, especially bank reconciliation. So that's part of the audit procedures. Reperformance, recalculation, so analytical procedures. So it automates some of the audit procedures. It increases productivity, diba? If we have already the software, if we have already the Excel, mas madali na ang ma-recompute natin. No? So, increases productivity. It reduces the audit risk. Audit risk. Now, by increasing the sample size and the audit coverage. So, kasi kung malaki ang sample size, much better, di ba? Okay? Mas confident tayo, no? Kung greater ang sample size. Cost savings, especially if you are using Excel, and adds value to your audit. So there are types of CAATs. So there are 4 broad categories of CAATs. So first is the data analysis software, the network security evaluation software, utilities, the OS, the operating system, and the DBMS, security evaluation software utilities, the software and code testing utilities. So apat, no? Data analysis, part ito ang dirita, Excel. Mo ni siya sa Excel. Kini lang atong ginagamit. The other one, they will buy it, no? Network security evaluation, yung mga utilities, the OS, the DBMS, software and code testing. So, apat ang ating categories. So, on the data analysis software, so it used in sorting of data in order to identify the gaps, the trends, and any form of statistical analysis. So, may mga sorting tayo, no? So, Excel is popular on that. This is considered as the most popular among CAAT software. And then, in the data analysis software, ito, generalized audit software, medyo mahal na ito, no? Gumagamit dito sa Pilipinas ang yung mga big four natin, no? The SGV, so they are using this one. The audit command language, the ACL, interactive data extraction analysis, so IDEA. So that's part of the generalized audit software. Utility software, gumagamit din tayo, no? Utility software din si Excel, si Access, si W, yung visualization, the Power BI. So, I don't know if you are familiar with MS Access. So, I think nasali din ito sa inyong curriculum but not handled by the College of Accounting Education. So, wala siyang handle natin, no? So, it's part of utility software. And then, test data, application software, tracing and mapping, and the audit expert system. So, ito yung mga data analysis softwares. So, it's more on introduction lang sa. For network security evaluation software utilities, so it is a specialized tool that can be used to analyze the flow of data through the processing logic of the application software and document the logic, the path, the control conditions, and processing sequence. So ito, tinitest yung procedures, no? More on the system itself, no? How it was processed, what is the logic behind that program. No? So, network security. So, assess network vulnerability, especially for viruses, mga Trojan horses. So, gina-assess and put network defense to test. Okay? So, yan siya. Sa mga test of control, magagamit yung network security evaluation. So, advantages of the CAATs. It increased the accuracy of the audit test. No? When you are testing your client. Example, you are testing the accounts receivable. Okay? Na-test ka sa accounts receivable. So, titingnan mo yung aging of the accounts receivable. Okay? So, it can use for the entire population. No? Versus the sampling traditional approach. So, kasgaran, sampling man ta kasi we cannot audit the entire population. But under CAATs, you can audit the entire population. And we just look for anomalies. Anomalies naman itong nangita na. Mga anomalies. No? We will look on possible errors. So, ensures integrity of data, keeping the data untainted. Promotes efficiency in conducting audit tests by examining large volume of data through predefined test case scenarios. So, it helps identify unexpected or unexplained patterns in data which may be indicative of fraud. So, for data analysis, no? May mga patterns tayo. So, makikita doon. Even in Excel, no? If you will have some in the Excel, katong magagamit yung mag-answer ganit ng true and false. Makikita natin yan sa Excel. So, makikita mo doon, may mga pattern. Bakit hindi iba yung answer niya? So, ma-determine na natin yung mga unexplained patterns. So, decreases dependency with process owners since data can be obtained directly from the source and promotes continuous monitoring of data. So, that's part of the advantages of CAATs. But disadvantage, of course, kung may mga pros, may mga ano din yan, mga disadvantage, no? So most CAD software are expensive and time consuming to set up. Okay? So more on kuan pa mga hindi compatible, no? Compatibility issues, may mga ganun pa, no? Access and testing data in the production environment is normally restricted since it might affect the live database and reports. Data may be corrupted or lost when using CAATs. So requires sufficient IT skills and knowledge to create complex data and understand the results of testing. So results of CAATs are highly dependent on the creativity of the author. So, mga disadvantage. So, may mga ano tayo, may mga generalized audit software, yung commonly used, no? Commonly used by some of the auditors to specific audit procedures lang din, no? Not all audit procedures can be done using the CAATs, no? So, yung mga specific lang. Ang mga confirmation, of course, hindi na yan ma-address ng CAAT kasi confirmation. More on recalculation tayo, reperformance, so more on analytical procedures, the rest, hindi na ma-cover ng CAATs. Usage. CAATs may be used in performing various audit procedures. So, test of details of transactions and the balances. Okay? So, check yan using CAATs. Balances, usually AR, AP, no? Cash, of course, audit in cash, magagamit yan, no? Balances of cash, no? Bank statement, cash, bank reconciliation. So, AR and AP, more on, kung ano siya, aging. So, makikita natin. Ano pa ba? Sa inventory, okay, pwede din siya magagamit sa inventory, no? Especially if you are using averaging cost. FIFO, first in, first out, magagamit din siya. Analytical review procedures for ratio, percentage, no? Compliance test of the information system, the general control, and the application control. So, this is test of control ito. So, we can use it for test of control and pen testing, testing the security weakness. So, magagamit natin yung CAATs. Di ba? We need to evaluate the control muna, no? Test of control muna tayo before we will do some substantive testing. We want to check whether their internal control is strong or not. Okay? Kasi nagva-vary yung ating substantive testing from the analysis of their test of their control environment. So, Philippine standards on auditing. When testing controls, the audit can perform manual tests and or use computer-assisted techniques. No? These CAATs are referred to system CAATs, manual tests. Okay? Should the auditor decide, sabi ko kanina, no, this is mag-test of control tayo. Test of control. Okay? So, we want to check whether we will rely on their internal control. Kung strong ang ilang internal control, their substantive testing, lesser na, di ba? Kung weak ang internal control, more substantive testing. So, that's part of the audit natin, no? Should the auditor decide to rely on the computer environment when testing internal controls, the auditor should test both the general and the application control. So, application is more on input. Input kasi garami. No, may process naman din. Pero si process, usually we cannot, bihira lang yung process control natin ma-check, no? Kasi dapat siya specialized. So, more on input control tayo. Si output naman, more checking lang man pa sa reports. So, general, it's on the general system, no? More on the kanang authorization or general, no? Sa system itself. Titingnan yung mga failures, may mga kuan ba, maka-access ba? Yung may mga unauthorized access ba? So that's for the general control. When performing substantive procedures, the auditor can perform either manual tests and or use computer-assisted audit techniques. So again, this walang effect on the entire audit procedures, but it will promote productivity using CAATs, no? So, substantive procedures. It can be used to select samples, stratify information, analyze the data, extract reports, to identify items that require further investigation, and it can also recalculate totals and calculations by using CAATs. Okay, under PSA 330, so as an auditor, we have to respond to the audit risk. Diba? We want to, of course, we want to test, we want to check, no? We want to determine, we want to lessen the audit risk. Okay? The use of computer-assisted audit techniques may enable more extensive testing of electronic transactions and account files. So it may be useful when the auditor decides to modify the extent of testing, responding to the risk of material misstatement due to fraud. Okay, so such techniques can be used to select sample transaction from key electronic files, sorting transaction with specific characteristic, or to test the entire population instead of the sample. Especially kung malaki yung audit risk, no? Why not we need to test na lang the entire population, so using CAATs. So this is the common data analysis functionalities. So I hope you can still see this one. It's very small font, no? So test of operation, or test or operation. So for confirmation and discovery, you acquire general information about your table, especially if they have their system already. So titingnan mo yung character, the numeric data. Okay? So, for ACL commands, so verify, count, statistic. Pero sa atin, MS Excel, just use pivot table. So, di ba? You already know how to use pivot table. So, conditional formatting. So, that's part of CAATs. Subtotal. Group and group muna ang atong mga functions in using CAATs, no? Order. When you test the records for sequential order, so ang mga data types natin, titingnan natin the character, the numeric data. So sa ACL commands, they are using sequence, but in Excel, we are just using pivot table and some kind of sorting. Diba? Ayan, so CAATs na siya. Pivot table, sorting part na siya sa CAATs. So if you are checking the completeness of our records, no? We will look on the sequence of the presentation. So, tinitingnan natin yung character, numeric data. So, sa ACL command, we are using gaps, but in MS Excel, we are using if error, the VLOOKUP, and the count. If error. I hope i-search ninyo niyo. VLOOKUP, we use the VLOOKUP. Count, okay, ginamit natin si count. If you are checking the uniqueness, you determine if the records have been included more than once. So the data types na we are looking on this is character, data, numeric. We check on some duplicates in ACL command. In MS Excel, we can already look on the duplicates also, no? Makikita man din yung duplicates. We can remove the duplicates in MS Excel. But we can still use pivot table and count if magagamit natin, no? When we are looking for concentration, you determine how many records and how value is concentrated by time period, the value range, and other record identifiers. So, yung data type natin, character, numeric, date. So, sa ACL commands, stratify, classify, tabulate, ang dami, summarize age. Sa Excel, ano lang, pivot table, and VLOOKUP. So, mas easy si Excel. Kasi kay ito, ACL commands, you need to study muna, no? How to, what is the syntax on this one. But for the MS Excel, we are already familiar with this, no? When we are looking for reordering of data, you change the order of data in the table. So, tinitingnan natin si character, date, and numeric. So, sa ACL, sort and index, sa ating pivot table and sorting. So, if you are already familiar with pivot table, you can already conduct the auditing procedures. Multiple table association, when we want to associate or combine data from separate tables. So, titingnan natin yung character. Sa ACL commands, extract and append, join relations. Sa MS Excel, VLOOKUP copy lang. Okay? When we want to cleanse the data cleansing returns a substring of the character, expression, or field value. So, tinitingnan si character. Sa ECL command, substring, find and trim. Sa atin, find, search, mid, left, right. Di ba? We are using that one in our previous AIS. Now, mid, left, so more on the text function. We can already trim, we can length it, we can replace, of course. Changing data type, if we want to change the data type, any data type. So, in MS Excel, you can use text and value. Diba? So, it's common function. Ito yung mga common function. We don't know nga, CAATs na pala yan. No? Ginagamit na pala yan in auditing procedures.